You got a little smoke coming out of your.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose Him as ourselves. When you choose Him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start.
Can you feel it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Can you feel it?
Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one.
Well, masquerade. Calling on the way of masquerade. Welcome, mighty companions. Welcome, mighty companions. Welcome to A Way of Mastery online. Woo!
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start.
Trying to get away from y'all all these lives. I can't do
Tell me, can you hear it?
Bonnie?
Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one.
We are one. We are one.
Oh, we are one.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I am you, and you are me.
All right, all right. Let's give it up for us, Holy Spirit. I know. We got to give it up. We got to give it up. We got to give it up for us. Get ready. Get ready to go take our trip. Take our journey. That's what we need to do. So I want to welcome everybody that's online right now for tuning in, as well as everybody that's in the room. Want to say hi to Nana, Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl, bring your butt down here.
It's raining. Give her a break.
Nana, Pamela. Got people come. Demola, what's happening, brother? It's good to see you all online. Christina, Daniel, Pamela, and everybody else that's coming in. We're going to be on the way of mastery, the way of knowing. We're going to be on page 328, if you have the book. And we're going to be on the section that's called Nothing Can Occur That... You're going to love this title. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Doesn't that feel wonderful? That's exactly what you wanted to hear tonight after today, wasn't it? Yeah. That nothing has happened today that you haven't called to yourself. So, okay. Have you had some really cool things happen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then nothing occurred that you didn't call to yourself. So all these cool people in the room with you, these cool people online, you called them to yourself. You know, so don't get upset if they're running away, but you called them. But you called them to yourself. So you know the drill. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of it's going to be hard to believe. Some of it's going to be hard to believe. Some of it's going to be startling. We're being told that it's not about judging and analyzing it. If you use it, you'll see that it's true. You have to use it to see that it's true. I was thinking about Peter, your parrot, and I was thinking about the fact that your parrot says things, but your parrot doesn't know what it's saying. I don't guess. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't guess. We assume, you know. I assume that your parent didn't mean it when they called me an MF. But they didn't know what it was saying. Even though it did have a really shy laugh when it was saying it, I was kind of suspicious. I'm glad you're teaching your parent. I'm glad you're teaching your parent Course in Miracles lessons.
There's an idea.
Yeah, that's true. And but the point that I was seeing in that was that I saw the connection between what the parent was doing and what we do a lot and don't realize it. Where we'll get to the point we will parrot the truth. You know, we'll say it, but we don't really get what we're saying, and sometimes we don't mean what we're saying. But we can say, oh, I give it to the Holy Spirit. So it's a total parroting. I'm letting God be in charge. I'm just saying it. But my fear or my upset or my conflict is letting me know I really don't mean that. I'm just saying what I've been taught to say. And I feel like that's especially true when people say they believe in God. I believe it's almost like something we've been taught to say ever since we were little children. And so we say it. Oh, yes, of course I believe in God. Of course I believe in love. Of course I believe we're all one. But if I would get in touch with my feelings and emotions, then I would really know whether or not I really meant that when I say that. So nothing can occur that you haven't called to yourself. So I'm going to go to the paragraph. The essence of this lesson is this. You and you alone are completely responsible for the quality of your experience of each moment. You and you alone are completely responsible for the quality of your experience of each moment. No one is doing anything to you. Oh God. No one is doing anything to you I say no one is doing anything to you. So we could say no one is doing anything to me. No one is doing anything to me. No one is doing anything to me. Even though it looks like it sometimes and it feels like it sometimes, the truth is no one is doing anything to me, and no one is doing anything to you. Here's another great thought from this paragraph. The world is not an unsafe place. 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 And breathe. And what you experience in life is a direct result of what flows from the inside out. Everything that you are experiencing is coming from the inside out. From the inside out. That's good news, because if it's coming from the inside out, then there's nothing that's happening in my world that I can't change. If it's happening from the inside out, there's nothing that's happening in my world that I can't change. If it's happening from the inside out, there's nothing that's happening in my world that I can't change. But if it's happening from the outside in, I'm a victim. If it's happening from the inside out, then there's something I can do about it. For there can be no flow from the outside in. There can be no flow. So I'm sitting up here, I'm thinking I'm receiving something from the outside into me right now. It's like I feel the vibes in the room, and I go, oh, I'm feeling the vibes in the room. And it's coming from the outside in. And I'm really feeling you all. And the truth is, I'm not. Nothing is coming from the outside in. I'm feeling the way I feel about you. And then I'm projecting that that's the way you feel about me. You might not be able to stand me.
Oh.
You know that's true. You know that's true. You've had the experience of thinking that somebody was really into you and they were one step away from 911. You know what I'm saying? You know that just because you think somebody is really feeling something, that doesn't mean they're feeling it. You're feeling it. That's good news. I know we'd like to think that it's from the outside in, but that's really not true. That's just like going to the movie and then telling yourself that it's the movie screen that's producing the movie you're seeing. It's coming from inside the booth above you, outside to the screen. You get lost into what's happening. And if you think about it, when you're in the movie theater and you're engrossed in a movie, you're not aware you're in the theater. You're not aware you're sitting in the chair. You're not aware of who's around you. You're not aware of your house. You're not aware of your car. The power of consciousness is that consciousness has the ability to focus. And consciousness always focuses on the greatest disturbance, which means the thing that's impacting it the most. You know, if somebody made a loud noise right now, everybody's attention would go to that. If somebody walked in the room, everybody would pretty much start to pay attention to who's just walked in the room. Whatever's disturbing the situation, and I don't mean disturbing in a necessarily negative way, then our consciousness automatically focuses in on it. Mm-hmm. So we are really having an inside-out experience and not an outside-in. So if I'm generating the feelings that I have about you, then I could feel good about you all the time if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So if I don't feel good in this moment, it's because I'm not generating it from the inside out. So what I do is look for someone who will stimulate me to do that. I'll look for the person that I see as being the catalyst, and I'll say, you made me feel good. No, you made me make me feel good. That's what really happened. I was thinking some crap on the way to the elevator on the way over here. And all of a sudden my mind goes, you're telling yourself to tell yourself this. You're telling yourself to tell yourself this. And you're telling yourself to tell you. And I just kept saying that. It was amazing the relief that I started to feel. And you're telling yourself to, because I keep on being tempted to think that what I'm thinking isn't being generated by me. That I can't help but be depressed or upset or excited. But I'm just responding to what I'm telling myself, inside out. So he says, in any point, he says, except, he says, for there can be no flow from the outside in except that which you receive and make your own. So if I receive it, if I'm willing to receive it, if I'm willing to tune into the oneness behind you, then I can be affected because it's me. So beneath the separation, we are really one. If we really tap into that, then yeah, we are able to influence each other. But not at the level of thinking we're separate. Not at the level of thinking that we're separate. So it says, is there any point then to being fearful of something? Of course not, actually. But there is no real point in being afraid of something, actually. So any thoughts, any takeaways about the first paragraph? Either online or in the room. Yeah.
And we have a couple of people really resonating with that, Pamela being one and Dharma the other. If everything's happening from the inside of me, then how can I be a victim at all?
You can't.
You can't be a victim.
Unless you say you're being a victim of what you're generating yourself. But even that you're not a victim of because you're the one choosing to generate it at some level.
And then Jim says, I'm telling myself to tell myself this feeling. He's really resonating with that piece of it.
Yeah, to me, that's the secret to happiness right there. Anybody else? Peter.
So, I have a friend who took offense at an email that I wrote, which I didn't realize she'd take offense at. I believe that I feel, compassion for her and caring for her, but whenever I see her, there's just, I can just...
Is that same friend? Okay.
So I just noticed that I feel like, wow, the anger that I feel, but that's coming then, as she walks down the hall and, I can just, it just radiates. So that's my anger then, right?
Say it again.
And that's my anger that I'm feeling?
No, whatever you're feeling about what she's doing is your feeling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the similarity would be that you have experienced anger before.
Right.
So that's what you have in common with her. What you have in common in that when they say your button is being pushed, it's just making you aware that there's an aspect of you that can also feel that same thing.
Right. So my desire to heal that or have it end is that like a futile desire? Or
well, no.
It sounds
to heal for you in that situation would be you to be able to remain centered, and you to remain peaceful, so that you can demonstrate to her that there's an alternative to the way that she's feeling if she chooses to do it.
Yeah, that's what I've tried to do.
That's what you do, because we represent whoever's peaceful, whoever has the most sanity at the moment. They're supposed to realize how indebted they are to this person, that they're being given another opportunity to bring peace into the situation.
Right.
And so if you choose to maintain your center, you are showing her what she could choose if she chose to.
Yeah, see, I don't feel bad anymore.
Okay, that's right.
But there is this kind of...
Yeah. Why would you feel bad if your motive was not to make her feel bad?
Right.
Act as if it didn't happen.
But sometimes I just think my presence makes her feel bad.
Yeah, right. Well, in terms of what we're learning, it's really about recognizing that you're responsible for your experience of how you feel.
Okay.
And that you're not responsible for somebody else's experience of how they feel. I was looking at the View today, and they were doing their panel discussion. They were talking about apologies. And it was interesting how much they were thinking that they should be saying that they're sorry because of how somebody else was interpreting what they did. As if somehow or another you can always know the effect of what you say on everybody around you and be able to take that into consideration before you say anything, that you're going to say it in the way they're going to like it. Just like you said, that's why communicating in text, that's why it's really something that really needs to be said to somebody. And it's really important. I would advise people to never do it in text. Because the text is so neutral when you look at the symbols called words, that you're going to project onto that text your state of mind and what's going. So that person could mean no harm at all, and you would totally misperceive it because you're projecting onto the text. That's the advantage of actually talking to somebody. You can hear their voice, you can hear the inflection, you can hear the energy behind it. But on text, it's all projection. Text is all projection. You're taking what's going on in you and you're projecting it on the words in most cases. So, if it's cool to say I'm gonna be there in 15 minutes, but don't be trying to profess your love to somebody on text or email.
Oh man, I knew I was doing something wrong.
Yeah, or an email. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be pretty clear that the person gets what the energy and the feeling behind what you're saying. You know, sometimes it's easier to say stuff over email, and so I'm not saying that it's not good to use that as a way of communicating. If in some situations you actually have, that's the easiest way for you to get out what you need to say. You know, maybe that's the easiest way for you to do it. Then that's great, but just take responsibility for how the person may respond, because they may not. That's why all the emojis kind of make a difference. You know, like putting angry smiley faces behind saying you a bastard. Yeah.
So on Sunday, you said, kind of going along the same lines, you're only staying in the wrong relationship or relationships because you hate yourself.
Yeah, if you're in a relationship that the person is not reflecting any form of love or openness or sanity or a willingness to take responsibility and work with you toward going towards sanity, then that's me wanting to be mistreated, if that's what it looks like that they're doing.
Right, because along the same lines, I have a friend that, like, sometimes she's sweet as pie and other times I'm like, who is this person who is just kind of going off? And so I made a decision Sunday night after, I had a big party and she was there, and I was like, wow, I can't do this anymore. I must be wanting this kind of punishment from her. I must.
If you're continuing that kind of relationship without trying to do anything to see if you all can communicate and take it to another level. Yeah. She'll survive you choosing out of it.
That's right.
See, that's the other thing that we forget. Is that it's like eventually if you continue to be really loving and you're not giving in to anger is always at some level an attempt to make someone feel guilty in order to get them to do what you want them to do. I mean, let's face it, that's what we learned from the time we were children. I'll just be so angry that you'll do what I want you to do. That's why when you stop responding to anger because you're ready to have peace, the other person that uses anger to manipulate you, they escalate their anger for a while to see if they can put more pressure on you to get you to cave in. If you don't cave in, then they eventually realize they got to take another approach and not communicate with you at all. But the temptation is going to be to give in, because usually they're going to escalate when you're not responding to their anger like you used to, in the guilt trip like you used to. But like I said Sunday though, if you keep focusing on peace, usually people who need that kind of anger and attack and they want to control that way, they just leave you alone because you're not meeting their need. Because it never was about you in the first place. It was really about having my need met and can you meet it. So you're not meeting it? Well, I'm going to look for somebody else to meet it. Now, if it really was about you, it might be a different story. They might not move on. But in most cases, it's not really about you. It's really about that person wanting their needs met.
So I read that line, for there can be no flow from the outside in.
Speak up louder for me, Chris, so everybody can hear.
So when you read that line, for there can be no flow from the outside in except that which you receive and make your own. I went, huh?
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
Well, just exactly what I was saying. Except what you receive, that means make your own. In other words, if I make it my own, if I want to make it like I'm receiving love from you, then I think I'm receiving love from you. And that's what we do. We make it our own. I can decide that what you're giving me is love. I can make that my own.
Like you were saying, consciousness focuses.
Yeah. So my consciousness is focusing, and if I want to, I can see it as if everybody in this room loves me. I can make it my own, but it's still me doing it. It's always still me doing it, whether it's the outside enemy appearing to be the inside out. It's still, in the end, it's going to be what I'm generating and how I'm seeing it, and the meaning that I'm giving to it. I like to say these things over and over again, over and over and over and over and over again, because we don't hear it. Outside of the room, our own personal study, we tend not to hear what we say in this room. So if I sound repetitive, it's purposely. I do it totally on purpose. Yeah. I'm going to take about two more minutes. I'll get these two.
I was just going to make a fast statement on what you said, because I ride my bike, I'm real aggressive, and I can't tell how many people drive by and say F you. And I'm being a student of the course, I just say, well, thank you, I'm already taken. And just pedal away, and you just see it as pure love, and it's like, you're not even dodging anything.
You made it your own.
Yeah.
The way, that's what's so beautiful, though, is that we are the ones who can determine the meaning of anything that's happening. That's good news, y'all. That's not bad news. That's good news.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just going to respond to Chris that when I read that, I thought
I give everything all the value, or all the meaning it has for me. So I'm not going to receive something that I don't want to give value to somebody who says I'm not wonderful and valuable and beautiful. So
yeah, again, which is another form of the same thing I just got through saying. You make it your own. You make it your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of it is kind of interesting how we judge everything. We use all our emotional, our physical, our mind fields, energy to judge everything, to put it into categories so we can relate to it. And these guys brought up some real interesting points. We just judge everything. Everything is judgment. Everything is based on how we want to perceive the situation. We want it to bring us whatever we are looking from that thing to give us.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of interesting. And if we live by no one is doing anything to you, the world is not an unsafe place. Do we really understand what the hell we're reading?
The world is not doing anything to you. The world is not. Nobody's doing anything to you. The world is not an unsafe place. Which is really, even in all the insanity that we see, the truth is, you haven't been mugged 20 times in the last week. Nobody's jumped on you 20 times in the last week. Nobody's cussed you out 20 times in the last week. Nobody's tried to run you down. If you really just get out of your story, you really haven't been unsafe. Nothing's really happened to you nearly in the proportion that we worry about it happening. So the world really isn't an unsafe place. We are projecting our fear, reacting to our fear and the insanity is, or we're calling it to ourselves through the fear that we have. So it doesn't have to be an unsafe place at all. If you really tap into the love and the truth of who you are, you'd be completely safe here all the time, and you'd never be hurt, because it's from the inside out, not the outside in. Your consciousness will protect you much more than a police department or a military ever could. You just wouldn't. You just wouldn't have a vibration in the consciousness that would draw things to you that you would perceive as harmful. If you really had an innocent mind, you would never be hurt. You would never get sick. There would never be a lack if you had an innocent mind, which you do. But it's underneath the one that we've been taught we have that isn't so innocent, that we identify with.
I think you can notice how not innocent your mind is just when you're just driving down the road and you're looking around, and if you just realize for just a moment, like just take a snapshot of how many things you judge, like whether it's how a building looks or what a person looks like or what the road or the cars or just, and that we don't have that innocence of a child, like that's what we've lost because we judge everything like constantly.
And that was that. Thank you for saying that, because that was the point I was just getting ready to make. That in the Course in Miracles it says the reason why we judge is that we're trying to convince ourselves we know what's going on. That's why, especially as adults, that if I don't really know what's going on, what makes me think I know what's going on? How I've judged it and how I've interpreted it. Now I think I know what's. Oh, you upset with me because of something I said to you. See, I judged, so I would think I knew what was going on. So we judge because we're trying to convince ourselves we know what's really going on. Because it's so frightening to really come to the realization you don't have the slightest idea of what's going on. You don't have the slightest idea. Our perspective is much too small to know exactly what's really happening. We don't even really know where we are, what we are part of, what created us, how we got here, nothing. But we make it up as we go along, because it's too frightening to think you have no freaking idea how you came here and how you're going to leave here. But I have noticed one thing. Generally speaking, it's only one way you get into the world, but there's a gazillion ways you can leave.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, usually you come through a birth canal or out of a woman's body. But if you wanted to leave, there's numerous ways right here in this room you could take yourself out. So why is it that it was made easier for us to get out than to get in? I'm just throwing it out there. I thought that was really interesting. Getting out is no problem.
Huh.
If you wanted to leave the body, there's probably a lot of people who'd help you. There are people that would like to help me leave my body just because of the color of my skin. They would be so glad to take me out. you know. And so leaving here is easy. If you just really want, if there's a line in the Way of Master that says, I'm really surprised more of you don't commit suicide. That the fact that there aren't more people committing suicide says a lot about our will to live and to be here. And then in the Untethered Soul, there was a statement in that book that blew my mind that said that the strongest instinct that we have is a survival instinct. But because, generally speaking, we've evolved so much that the average person, most people aren't worried about, especially here, aren't worried about food or clothing or shelter. Most people here aren't. Then he says, then your survival instinct jumps up to, now it's got to be my psychological state that survives. So now our survival instinct is about my ego surviving, my ideas surviving, my beliefs surviving, the way that I look at things surviving. So now we protect our blocks and programming and insecurities and fear. That what we look at as a good day is just a day that nobody disturbed me. A good day is a day that I'm not being triggered. That's a good day. So he said most of the time what we're doing is just trying to protect our weakness. Instead of changing that weakness, we just try to create relationships that nobody triggers that weakness. And so, you know what I mean? It's like I'm jealous. Then if you're, what is that?
It's the clock.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It sounds like one of those Tibetan bowls.
Okay. It's kind of off too. That's the truth. That's funny. The thing that makes the most noise is completely wrong. And we also got a perfect example of what I said about your consciousness going immediately to the thing that disturbs in that instant, right? Okay. So, welcome Tricia, Dharma, Jerry, Crystal. I want to acknowledge people that are coming online and that are communicating. So I'm going to go to the next paragraph. So I want to be able to cover some of this, so don't think I'm not giving you a chance to discuss it at a certain point. I cut it off because it's very important to me that we hear what it's saying as well as share. So thank you for sharing. So if you are fearful, at least accept that you have decreed it to be so by saying, I choose to be fearful of being a millionaire, for example. I'm afraid right now because I choose to be. I'm jealous right now because I choose to be. I feel insecure right now because I choose to. I'm not speaking to people at this party because I choose to. I'm going up to people and introducing myself because I choose to. You follow me? Therefore, I will not take this opportunity and run with it. I choose to be fearful of being rich, and therefore I will not take this opportunity and run with it. I am fearful of the opinions of others, therefore I will not give speeches in public. The fear of public speaking is greater than the fear of death for a lot of people. At least say, I choose to have the experience of being a contracted and fearful human being.
I choose to be.
I choose to have the experience of being a contracted and frightening human being. At least take ownership and recognize the simple truth that as the world shows up to reflect that fear to you, I'll say that again. Okay, I'm choosing to be a fearful, frightened being. What did it say would happen next? The world shows up to do what? Reflect that fear back to you. It is doing so only out of loving service to you. That's deep. That if I am choosing to be fearful and something shows up to show me that I'm fearful, it's doing it out of a loving service to get me in touch with what I'm choosing. You know. So the universe is only love. 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 And beings will respond to you. People will respond to you according to what you want to call into your being. And that is all. Some books say like we're in constant telepathic communication with each other. And so we're telling each other how to treat each other. But we don't realize that's what we're doing. That's why one person, that same person that treats you one way would treat another person entirely different.
Yeah.
Because you're calling that behavior out and another person is calling a different sort of behavior out. But it's still being created by you because it's through mutual agreement and you asking for it at some level. If I give you ice cream that you ask me to give you, it'll look like I'm giving it to you, but you really gave it to yourself because you asked me to give it to you. So it looks like somebody is not giving you what you're asking for, but the truth is they're giving you the ice cream you asked for. And one thing the Course in Miracles says is that we make decisions to experience things, and then we also make the following decision to forget we made the decision to experience it. And that way it can look like we were a victim of something we didn't ask for. Follow me? Mm-hmm. First I decide to have the experience, but I don't want to take responsibility for it, so I also decide to forget I asked for the experience. And so then when it shows up, I can go, oh, why did you do that to me? You know, actually you decided I should do that to you, but you forgot you decided it. Mm-hmm. So how do you know when you're ready to let the pattern go? You know you're ready to let the pattern go when you admit you're the one that created it. That's how you know. Okay, all right. So it's quite true that you may be calling a calamity to yourself because you as a soul, now check this out now, especially if you think you go through calamities and you're hearing about calamities all over the world. Okay, so people that's caught up in a hurricane, a tsunami, right, says it's quite true that you may be calling a calamity to yourself because you, not as a person, notice it says, you as a soul are ready to discover a greater depth of love and forgiveness to yourself. So things are coming to you at a soul level, not at an ego, human personality that's trying to pay its bills levels. So when it talks about the you that's creating your reality, it's not talking about the you that you think you are, which is just a self-concept that you've made and an image that you made up that you think is you. It's not talking about that's what's creating your reality. So who I think I am is not what's creating my reality. Who I am is what's creating my reality. So your soul may create you having some type of a situation when you were born that will automatically trigger you to have more compassion or to grow in a certain way. So it says, so then you are ready to discover a greater depth of love and forgiveness in yourself. Life might bring you challenges, but only because you have asked life to bring you challenges so that you can grow your capacity to maturely direct love in this world. That's one of those sentences that you have to hear. Yes. Okay, how do I make that real? Okay, Earl, where are you going through a challenge in your life right now? Okay, you got it, right? You're doing that because you asked your life to bring you that challenge so that right now you can grow your capacity to maturely direct love in this situation. That's why you have that challenge, not because of something that's happening in the world. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. I want you to breathe with that for about 1 minute. Because you chew and then you swallow. Right? Mm-hmm. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. What? Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. So that means, does that mean everything that occurs, I have called to myself. 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 Everything. Did it say everything? It said everything. Does everything mean anything? Okay, sometimes that's a nice little qualifier. Does everything mean anything? Then anything that I've experienced, I've called to myself. Yes, Earl, when you was 10 years old on Christmas Day, you got hit by a car. You called it to yourself. Why did you call that challenging situation to yourself? So that I could grow my capacity to maturely direct love in this world. How? As a soul. As a soul. As a soul. Because even when you say child, you're saying child body. Mm-hmm. That's all you're saying. When you say child, you're just saying child ego. That soul is just as old as every one of us.
That's right.
That soul has its lessons and the things how it wants to evolve. Every soul does. That's why there looks like unfair inequality in the world. That's why it looks like some people are born poor and some people are born rich. Some people are born with lots of food. Some people are born with little food. Their soul, brought that challenge so that they could grow their capacity to maturely direct love in this world. We might not like it, but it doesn't mean if you weren't told by Spirit to give to people, share with people, feed people, send stuff over to third world countries that people need to eat. Whatever you do, it's not saying we should not be compassionate and not share, but we definitely have to stop looking at it as if these souls are not growing, are not somehow benefiting, and are not somehow learning through the experiences that they have. And the reason that keeps us from feeling that way is our judgment.
Back to judgment.
We're right back to judgment. Who am I to say what's best for you? But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you what I'd like to receive. That's the fail-safe. You may be learning a lesson through starvation, but if I was hungry, I sure would like to eat. So I might feel spiritually directed to send food to you or give food to you. Does that make sense to everybody? Give what you want to receive. That's just what you do. You give what you want to receive. If you were, I used to joke about if I had got injured and I was on the side of the road, the last thing I wanted to show up was a New Thought person or a Course in Miracles student or a way of math. Why? Because they're going to say, oh, it's just an illusion and you created it.
Yeah.
If that's not real, I love how people, that's not real, okay. Would that honestly be what you would want somebody to say to you if you were in pain and you were in need? No. You know that you would want somebody to call for help. That's what you would want. So you give what you would want to receive. Even while being conscious enough to know that was a challenge, that soul called to themselves to learn more about love and truth and who they really are. At the exact same time. Exact same time. So it says, I love this. It says, it's quite true. Life might bring you challenges, but only because you have asked it to bring you challenges. How? Why? So that you can grow what? Your capacity to maturely direct love in this world. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Tricia says, I have got to get my arse down to Denver again. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, you do, Tricia. All right. All right. Then it says, I could not begin to tell you how many times I have conspired to create opportunities for many. This is the Christ consciousness talking. I could not begin to tell you how many times I have conspired to create opportunities for many, many beings to do what? To step into the fullness of their Christed consciousness, their love consciousness. That's what that means. How? With full power and glory. In the shortest possible time. Only to have them say, no, I can't do that. That's just not who I am. I have to go do something else. And the something else is always something based on fear. Something the egoic part of the mind thinks that they can be comfortable with. Something that will take them many lifetimes to reach the same result. The Holy Spirit, your higher power, always knows the shortest route to God. Your higher power always knows the shortest route to your happiness and to your love. It will, what? When presented to you, what is it going to do? Bring up for you your deepest fears. That's just the opposite of what I'm counting on when I say I want to get on my spiritual path.
That's right.
I'm expecting, I'm going to get on my spiritual path every day. It's going to be beautiful, peaceful, all day long. Everybody just going to love me and I'm not going to have any challenges whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to get on my spiritual path. Oh, and I'm going to bring your deepest fears to you as quickly as I possibly can so that you can purge those and be free of those once and for all. All this stuff you've been trying to hide from yourself and pretend that's not there, we are going to get a chance to have an experience of having the opportunity for you to let that go. So let me introduce you to your latest partner. Your latest friend, your latest job. You see what I'm saying? Whatever shows up at that point, after you say you're ready to let go of your fears, is actually going to have the purpose of bringing up everything you're trying to hide from yourself so that you can let it go. And the way that you let it go, the way that you let it go, the way that you let it go is to let it go. So how do you let it go? You let it go by feeling it and watching it and not allowing yourself to get involved with it. I'm bringing up my insecurities as a child, and how I wasn't enough, and how I went through ridicule because I was a black kid who didn't play sports and was horrible at it. Traumatic growing up as an urban youth. Try being black and not being into sports. So I had a lot of ridicule that I dealt with that. Stuff that came up for me. Yeah, I hated PE. That was like hell. Like, would you like to go to hell today? Go to PE. You know, I was so bad at sports that they choose somebody in the wheelchair before they choose me. So it would be like, do you want the guy in the wheelchair? Yeah, him before Purdy to play basketball. Come on, you know. So that brought up very real fear. So what do I do? Do I get immersed in it? Do I wallow in it? Do I go, oh my God, I really got to spend weeks dealing with this? No, I let the fear come up. I see from the perspective I am right now that was a call for love. That was spirit creating a challenge in order to allow me to develop some type of soul quality that I didn't understand at the time. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to feel it and I'm going to allow it so it can pass through me and be gone. You're not to process it. You're not to analyze it. You're not to get obsessed with it. You just let it come up, look at it, and move on. See, the ego doesn't like that. That's much too simple. Then it goes, well, how do I let it go? How do I know I've let it go? Well, you let it go when you feel it and allow it and don't judge yourself for having it. That's letting it go. We think letting it go is, well, at first I just don't feel that fear anymore. No, at first you do feel the fear. That's the first stage. You just said, I'm going to bring it up for you to look at. So it's not about you don't feel the fear. It's about you do feel the fear, and then you tell the truth about it. But you don't immerse yourself in it, and you don't join it. So you watch it. Oh, I'm seeing my fear that I had when I was a little boy about how bad I was at PE. Wow, little Earl, you're totally innocent. That was an illusion. There was something I needed to learn from that. I did learn from that. And what's next? Oh, it came up again. Oh, let me watch it, realize it was my call for love. There was something I was supposed to learn from that, and it left, and I'm okay now. What's next? Oh, it came back up. Every time it comes up, you tell the truth about it every time. Because it may come up more than once. Okay, why? Why do your fears come up? Well, he says the reason why your deepest fears are brought up and presented to you is because it's your fear that's blocking the light. It's your fear that's blocking your joy. It's your fear that's blocking love. So isn't it great that the thing that's blocking everything you've ever desired is now up so that you can let it go?
Yeah.
Okay, any thoughts, any takeaways, any comments, any questions online or in the room about what we just heard? Let's try to keep it around what we're talking about.
Well, I have a few.
He can get his hand up first. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Well, I really did what you just said to us because it's another way of communicating with our higher self, our God self. And that's how he talks to us.
How?
He talks to us through what we need to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're multi-level,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right, we cannot see what we are not aware of our multi-levels at all.
Mm-mm.
So there's other work to do on other levels for it to be healed. That's why it keeps coming back.
That's right.
That's why we have to keep relearning our lessons. And even though the lesson, the form may change,
Yes.
it's still the same lesson.
Yes.
And it's a lesson
Yes.
of love and fear.
Yes. The Course says that the reason why we never solve our problems is because we go for different answers to different problems. That you don't solve your problem until you realize all your problems are the same problem. You don't solve problems when you think you have different problems. He says all your problems are solved when you recognize it's the same problem, which is your sense of separation from God, your sense of separation from your source. And you can break it down to, my only problem is I'm always telling myself if this were different, I'd be happy. That's the only problem. Is everybody's saying, if I had more money, I'd be happy. If I had less money, I'd be happy. If I had a maid, I'd be happy. If I didn't have a maid, I'd be happy. If I had a new house, I'd be happy. If I had a new car, I'd be happy. If you really watch everybody that you know, anytime that they're unhappy, really just listen to what they're saying, and you will see that one idea is underlying every single thing they're unhappy about. They're telling you what needs to be different for them to be happy. As if there's no way for them to be happy just as they are with things just as they are. Especially the way we're taught as egos, which is you're almost a slacker if you allowed yourself to be satisfied with your life the way that it is. You're told that you're being stagnant.
That's right.
If you would appreciate your house, appreciate your family, be satisfied with your car. It's like we are so programmed that we should never be comfortable. If you are comfortable, somehow or another you're a slacker, and you should always, every minute, as soon as you get one thing, you should be trying to get more.
Yeah.
The egos go, you got to be more. It's got to be more love, more friends, more clothes, more cars, more whatever. So you watch people make up stuff that they need to do to be happy, which will never make them happy because their happiness doesn't come from anything outside themselves. Then they work their butts off doing stuff every day that they made up themselves that they needed to do in order to be happy. And then they mad at everybody else as if somebody told them to go work at that job. You don't have to get up and go to work tomorrow. Nobody's going to make you get up and go to work tomorrow. You're going to get up and go to work tomorrow because you're the one that's choosing to do it. So there is nobody to blame. You know, but it takes courage to live your life the way you want to every day. That takes some serious courage to say the universe is going to provide for me. I'm here to give and receive love. I'm going to trust that I will be taken care of if I fulfill my function for being here on earth.
Yeah.
That takes courage. It's a lot easier to go punch the clock, you know.
Today I was reading, in the news about this new tick-borne illness that is around where I used to live.
This new what?
Well, it comes from these ticks around where I used to live. And I went, oh my God, what a horrible thing. And then I found myself emailing friends who lived there about it. And then all of a sudden I thought, well,
about a tick, but you said about a
this tick-borne illness.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And I thought, am I informing them or am I increasing the fear in myself by passing this by passing this information on? I was trying to really understand. I was probably trying to analyze it way too much.
No, Peter, you're not doing that, are you, buddy?
I never do that. But, no, I was just, I was curious as to, how the fear aspect.
There's not a single person
myself.
in that. There's not a single person in that building that would get the tick-borne illness unless they called it to themselves.
Right.
So it doesn't make any difference whether you saying it right or not saying it right, or whether you increase it. The only thing what you're doing is increasing fear or decreasing fear in yourself. That's it.
Right.
Poof, end of responsibility. Nobody's gonna. You can't give anybody a cold. You can't give anybody a disease. What you can do is be a means for someone to give themselves something that they want to give themselves. See, that's scary. That's deep. But that's what we're here for, right? We're here to hear the opposite of what we're taught. So when people say, "Oh, I can't hug you because I got a cold," you might catch it. I say, "I'm not going to catch your cold unless I want to. You can't give me a cold I don't want." And then sometimes I want it. It's a way of joining. So you hug me and now I'm sneezing with you. Right? But you didn't give it to me. I gave it to myself. That's deep, man. But imagine how much guilt would leave the world if people believed that. Think about how much you allow yourself to be manipulated by the idea that you've done something to somebody. Yeah. Now, why wouldn't I want to let that go? I wouldn't want to let that go if I was still blaming other people for what I'm going through. That's why I wouldn't want to let it go, because I don't want to let you off the hook for what I think you've done to me. True. I love this truth stuff taking me off the hook. What I don't like is this truth stuff saying you didn't do it in the area that I wanted to be a victim of you.
Being a parent is great.
Oh, don't even mention. Don't even go there. Don't even go to the parent thing.
Just that responsibility, like you feel like you did something wrong, or you beat yourself up for not doing it this way or that way. Or
sometimes you feel like you did something wrong just by bringing them here.
Yeah.
Like if I really loved you, I never would have had you. Why would I want to bring you to this insane place?
Right.
Well, because my ego needs to know I got a little ego that I can say is an extension of Earl's ego walking around. I got to have a little Earl Purdy ego that symbolizes that he's special and he was here. And so that's why I'm having it.
So one thing that really struck out with me is it is quite true that you may be calling a calamity to yourself, because you as a soul already discover.
Please talk louder, because don't forget people online listening.
It is quite true that you may be calling a calamity to yourself because you as a soul already discover a greater depth of love and forgiveness in yourself. Life might bring you challenges, but only because you have asked it to bring you challenges so that you can grow your capacity to maturely direct love in this world. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. I am so grateful that ever since I started studying this, and my first clarity session with you, I am so grateful.
Say again, your first one with me?
Your first clarity session. Okay. My first clarity session with you. Okay. Yeah,
Say it clear.
I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that the idea was brought up that I came into this body the way it is to do what it says.
Well,
to grow in love.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, the truth is that people who choose challenging physical body conditions are trying to save themselves a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then because your reperception of yourself is much greater than what other people have to do. So you will actually save yourself lifetimes of incarnation. Mm-hmm. And that was your choice.
Yeah.
And that's what's so deep about it. That's how sincere your soul was about leaping you forward.
Yeah, and so yeah,
right.
I see it as a blessing now, because before that I used to see it as a curse or something, but now I see it as a blessing. I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
That's a miracle.
Yeah.
That's a miracle. That's a miracle. You know, because most people are more upset than you are about meaningless, pathetic stuff. Oh, I got a spot on my pants. Oh, my day is ruined. It's very different from what you're choosing to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's so deep. We've evolved to the point that we take care of ourselves so well that we can spend time obsessing over somebody skipping us in line.
Yeah.
Do you realize how few problems you must have if that's what you're thinking about? Absolutely. Or the fact that we can sit in here in a totally safe room where there are no bombs or anything going off and analyze our lives. That means we don't have any real problems. Mm-hmm. Not really. No. This ain't happening in some parts of Syria right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So the mere fact that we can sit up here and go, oh, is that true? I'm not going to believe in God. That means you're already in friggin' heaven. Did they call me? They said they was going to call me. They didn't. God, you don't have no friggin' problem. You're so friggin' blessed, it's ridiculous. Oh, they might lay me off. Oh, that's the worst thing that may happen, is you may be released from a job you didn't really want to be at anyway, so you called a layoff to yourself so that you could leave because you were too scared to consciously do it. And there was another opportunity that's waiting for you, that you need to be out of this particular situation for the opportunity to come to you, and they call it a layoff. And now, because you don't have faith in the universe that everything is happening for your own best interest, you're devastated because you got laid off. Mm-hmm. If you knew the universe was totally supportive and totally loving, you would not. A friend of mine, she was applying for a job recently and didn't get that job, and communicated with me like, wow, you know, boy, that didn't happen, and boy, there must be something that's better for me down the road that I need to take a look at. See, or she could have been, oh, I prayed to God and I didn't get the job. God didn't come through for me. Yeah, God did come through for you. That job would have been hell. There would have been something about that job that wasn't right for you at all. Trust the universe. You say you're giving it up to spirit, then stop thinking that things are happening to you that are not for your own best interest. Rush! Okay.
You feel better now?
Yes, I feel so much better. Thank you, Ms. Watson.
So really quickly, I got a call yesterday, and I've been wanting to do some specific things with my world, and I got a call asking me to do it. And I didn't call back right away. And it's right here, it says, Christ in consciousness with full power and glory in the shortest possible time. So I didn't call her back till today. And then she goes, well, let's get together this week. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going out of town on Sunday. Let's get back when I get back. You know, like, this is an opportunity right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not even very busy right now. My ego totally put up a block that said, don't do that. I have just call, I'm going to call her back and say, let's do that. Like, why?
But that's what's so cool about joining on the truth together, is the individual revelations that we all have from being together. And that's what I try to do in the clarity session, to create an environment of dialogue and communication where you will hear the answers that are pouring through you as well as what's coming through me, you know. And like you said, just you're thinking about this, all of us are having it, just like the realization that Chris just had. That's coming from us coming together, joining on the truth. It should be, all of you should be having some type of inner revelations, or completely disoriented and confused.
Or maybe a little both.
Maybe a little both. Either one of those are great. All of that's great. All that's great.
Or suicidal thoughts.
As you came through the door.
I'm having a suicidal thought. I'm also having the thought of what a strawberry milkshake would really be good. All right, let me take it to the next section. Anybody online? There must be. Pamela said there must be a purpose. I call this to myself a lesson of some kind? ? Absolutely. The soul is calling the shots. That's right, Jerry. Kathy, she's thanking you for reminding her. Casey, good to see you online. Give what you want to receive. I love it. I love it feeling like the community is all over the world that we're communicating with. Da-da! The next section is how to dissolve the power of fear. Is that a worthwhile topic?
Yes.
How to dissolve the power of fear. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Do y'all want to go further?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay. How to dissolve the power of fear. How then do you dissolve the power of fear? You do it by recognizing the fear, which I said earlier, by feeling it. Do you feel it? Mm-hmm. And then by what? Owning the simple fact that fear is not your master. That's what I was saying earlier. I'm recognizing it, I feel it, I own it. I recognize it, I feel it, I own it. I own it. My fear is coming from me. All the fear I feel is coming from me. If you will correct the conditions that I'm using to cause my fear, I'll let my fear go. That's the way it works. Nobody can get rid of your fear for you, but Spirit can remove the conditions that's causing your fear. And then you will let go of the fear. You know, I'm hiking, a bear shows up, I'm scared, remove the bear, my fear goes. But the condition that this book in the Course in Miracles uses, I'm separate. The condition that I'm separate is what causes my fear. I think I'm separate, I think I'm different, I think I'm not connected, I think I'm alone, I think I'm on my own. So if I recognize I'm not, have you noticed that when you have a lot of friends and a lot of people that you feel close to, there's this feeling of security and safety that you feel? And then when you feel like there's nobody but you, and there's no one you can turn to, no one that would care, you're more afraid. You're more afraid. So that's why I posed the question a couple of Sundays ago. You know, what's wrong with being loved by a lot of different people? Because I noticed that nothing offends and upsets people more than when I say love should be inclusive and not exclusive. And I keep asking them, well, what's wrong with being loved by more than one person? I used to think something was wrong with me when I was growing up, especially young, a teenager, and in my 20s, because I never could get with the idea of loving only one person. It never made any sense to me. And it didn't have to not make sense to me. There were a lot of beautiful people in my life that I wanted to love. Male and female. Cool, wonderful people. And so that whole idea that I couldn't love but one woman, or I couldn't love but one man in my life just seemed just ridiculous to me. But nobody else was saying it, so I thought something was wrong with me until I was awakened and got on my spiritual path. And I still see that as the thing that upsets people the most out of everything I say and everything that people hear me say. That's the most scary thing. Whenever you talk about inclusive love, because they cannot separate it from you're talking about sex.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so people immediately get scared because they're immediately talking about, you just said it's okay with my mate to have sex with somebody else.
Unless they're Mormon.
You know.
Unless you're Mormon, and then you can have lots of people.
But then think about all the guilt they put on them. Mm-hmm. You know, think about how people just attack them, and you know, it's a trip. It's a trip. How much the ego-lack, scary mind gets bent out of shape. And then I'll tell you, here's another way to get rid of the fear around that. Love means appreciation. So when I say I wanted to love a lot of people, I was saying I wanted to appreciate a lot of people. Now, that doesn't sound threatening, does it? Because that takes away the form stuff, like what you're going to be doing physically. So that's what I'm saying to you. I want to totally appreciate all of you. I don't want to be limited to who I can appreciate in this room. I know my specialists will say stuff like, I want you to appreciate me more than anybody else. Don't you dare appreciate. Or I love this one. The appreciation that you give to me is the appreciation that you give to somebody else is appreciation that I'm not getting. Because appreciation is like a pie. You know, you take that slice out, and then that's not a slice you can eat because you gave it to somebody else. And I've heard people say that. That's energy that I should be receiving that you're giving to somebody else, which means that's a total unawareness of what love is. Love is just the opposite. The more you share it, the more you have. It's like an idea. I give you the idea of going to the movie. You say, okay. Now you got the idea of going to the movie, and I still have the idea of going to the movie. So the idea of going to the movie is now larger, but I didn't lose the idea of going to the movie. So when you share an idea, you just increase it. It never lessens by sharing it. So what? Okay, if that's true, what happens when you share your anger and your guilt and your grievances and your sense of being alone and projection and blame? What happens?
It gets stronger.
It just gets larger. You draw people to you who feel the same way you do. And before you know it, you're surrounded by people who are just as miserable as you are. Deep. Why? Because you shared the idea. So you increased it. Okay? So how do you dissolve the power of fear? How then do you dissolve the power of fear? By recognizing it, by what? Feeling it, and by doing what? Owning the simple fact that fear is not your master and continuing to walk on. Okay, so the ring of fear, of which I speak quite deeply in A Course in Miracles, he talks about the ring of fear. That when you say you're going to go through love, you're going to go through the ring of fear. You know what the ring of fear is? Okay, if you're looking at something physically in your experience that's causing you fear, it's coming from who? Your thoughts. So going through the ring of fear is you passing through the part of your own mind that's thinking the fearful thoughts. Does that make sense? You know, I'm creating the fear, so I'm seeing the external manifestation of it, but it's really coming from my own consciousness. So going through the ring of fear is me going through and taking a look at the thoughts that I am using to frighten me. That's going through the ring of fear. It's seeing my own frightened thoughts. So then it says, the ring of fear is something how? Constructed from the inside out. In reality, all power under heaven and earth is given unto the holy child of God. Now that's a lot of power. You got all power on heaven, in heaven and on earth. When you are presented with an opportunity, just like what Chris was talking about earlier, that's the absolutely correct way to see your body. There's no more. That's the greatest healing thought you can have. Because at that point, you're no longer attacking your body for betraying you and not living up to your expectations.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the Course said we do. That our bodies are there to get us what we want, and if our body is not getting us what we want, we attack it with our anger and our guilt, and then it gets sick. So he says we take our anger out on our body, because it's my body that's supposed to give me what? The specialness that I want. That's why we work so hard on our bodies. You know, I love it when your body looks so much like the world said the body should look, that so many people are wanting your body that you just, oh, I just can't handle it. You know, it's just too many people want me. You know, that's the problem that most people think they want to have. You know, because what? I think that some level of my body is giving me certain levels of special. That's why I tell people, if you think you have an attractive body, according to the world, how the world says attractiveness is, the reason why you have it is to draw people to you to give them what they really want, which is the truth. The love, your awareness. It's like you got a better bait. Right?
Better bait.
B-A-I-T, bait. Yeah. The Course in Miracles says we use our bodies like bait to catch another fish. You know, and but what kind of fish do you know? Sometimes we catch sharks. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not. You know, your bait caught something. And sometimes literally your bait caught something. Anyway, though it takes a minute to have time release jokes. A few minutes later, take a little while, then it hits you, you know, okay. All right. So when you're presented with an opportunity, you are not presenting something in which you are asked to what? Walk alone. All right? So when you do get an opportunity from the universe, from spirit, the way you can tell is you won't really feel alone in it. You may have that challenge, but you're not alone. You're surrounded by other people. If you accept the Holy Spirit's function as your own, what's the promise? Every obstacle is removed before you reach it. So if you want every block, every obstacle removed before you reach it, you accept the Holy Spirit's function as your own. And what's the Holy Spirit's function? It is to heal, to join minds, to let go of fear, to recognize our oneness, to want to be a conduit for love and truth, among other things. Therefore, beloved friends, where in your life are you resisting the opportunities that have been presented to you? Where have you resisted and said, well, that's just not me, I'm not that way, I really can't do that? When in fact, you are just afraid. You're afraid of the world. Fear has defeated you. In the way of knowing, fear has no power in the way of knowing. When you know, you have no fear. When you have knowledge, you have no fear. There's no such thing as having knowledge and having fear. So one simply abides in and does and gives it back to God and goes on. Now here's good news because I got it highlighted in pink. I got color-coded stuff right here. Okay. On the day when your body-mind returns to the dust of the ground, which is an old way of saying, this is how it describes death. The energy that is holding the subtle forms of matter, your molecules and atoms together to create an appearance of something solid, when that energy of intention and will is gone, the mind is shifted somewhere else and the body dissolves. So when you go to a funeral, you should say, this person's body-mind is returning to the ground. Their energy, the energy that was holding the subtle forms of matter, their molecules and atoms together to create an appearance of something solid, that energy and intention and will is gone. Their mind has shifted somewhere else. What you call death is your mind shifting to somewhere else. Your focus is no longer here. Your consciousness, whatever you focus on, that's where you think you are. Death is, I have changed my focus. I'm still alive, but now I'm seeing something else. My body dissolves because no longer is my attention here. So everybody you think that's died, the only thing that they did was shifted their mind somewhere else. My mother shifted her mind somewhere else. My father shifted her mind somewhere else. My brother shifted his mind somewhere else. And my sister shifted her mind somewhere else. That's the way I'm supposed to look at their transition. So that's applying the truth as opposed to reading it, parroting it. How do you know that you're applying it the next time somebody appears to die that you know you'll describe it in a new way? If not, you're just parroting the truth. So, yet you will remain as you have always been, even when your mind shifts, right? Which is what? Even when you die, you will still be pure intelligence, pure potentiality, and pure perception. You will still be creating, and you will merely generate energy fields that will create experiences in worlds around you. I really want to hear that. So what happens after you die? You will still pure intelligence. You will still be pure potentiality. You will still be pure perception. You will still be creating. You will merely generate energy fields that will create experiences in worlds around you. Okay, so my sister Earlene, who made her transition 7 years ago, she shifted her mind somewhere else. Her body dissolved. She's still pure intelligence, pure potentiality, pure perception. She is still creating. She is still generating energy fields that are creating experiences in other worlds for her. That's what's happening right now with my sister. That's applying the truth as opposed to intellectual and talking. And notice I didn't analyze anything about that. Because analyzation has only one purpose, and that's to destroy what you just heard. That's what it's for. And also, overanalyzing is what a person does when they're not ready to use the answers that they've already been provided with. So overanalyzing is a way of stalling around and not really using the truth that you're learning. I'm scared to do it, so I'll keep analyzing it and keep analyzing it and keep analyzing it and keep analyzing it. So, any thoughts about that? Any thoughts online or in the room? Any takeaways? Any comments? Any questions about that?
A lot of resonance with knowing that going outside of the body doesn't kill. A lot of people are resonating here with knowing that they're still alive and with us.
What makes you feel better? To think that the people that you love that have shifted their attention away from the body are still pure intelligence, still creating, or to think that they are just flesh and blood dust that's rotting in the ground or that was cremated? Which one?
Pure intelligence.
Right, unless it's somebody you hate, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to think that they're still around. You think you're rid of them, so you don't really want to deal with them.
Oh,
But
they can be dead.
I'm sorry, but they can be dead. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of people, they can be dead, you know. So then be honest enough to say that. Be honest enough to say that. Because if you're just honest with yourself, you're being authentic. It doesn't mean you necessarily be saying really canned spiritual stuff. It just means you're telling the truth about the way you feel. Because it won't affect my reality. You can hate me all day long. Y'all, you can criticize me. Anybody watching me online, anybody in this room, you can criticize me all day long, all night long. Make yourself miserable because you'll be the one feeling that negative energy. But it is going to have zero effect on Earl unless Earl decides to give what you're thinking some power. And you will, and I will be tempted to do that if you are special to me. Now, if you're special to me, then I might choose to make myself feel vulnerable to what it looks like you think of me. But instead of trying to change you so that you'll think well of me, I'm working on not caring. I'm putting all my energy into, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to love me. Not trying to get you to change your mind about me. That's the way you do it. Anybody in here?
I love the way Tricia phrases this response. You see that there? Dude, they've been visiting me since I was 9 years old. I know they don't disappear.
Oh, I heard that. I heard that. Well, you know, there's a line in the Course. I keep quoting the Course a lot because so much of what it says corresponds to the way of mastery, and I'm more familiar with it. And it says that the only reason why your invisible teachers do not materialize in front of you is because it would scare you and make you doubt your right mind. It would make you doubt your sanity. And higher consciousness does not want you to doubt your sanity because it's through your own sanity that you'll start to recognize the truth. So if I make you think you're crazy, I'm not helping you. If I scare the hell out of you, I'm not helping you.
Right.
So I'm not going to physically appear in a chair in front of you in a physical image when it would make you think you were crazy. But as soon as you would not be afraid, they will materialize in front of you. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. So anything that loves you is trying not to increase your fear because the safer you feel, the more you can listen and the more you can receive. So that's why in my relationships, my number one goal is how safe can I make this person, support this person in feeling when they're with me. And there's only one way I can know that, and that's to listen to what they're saying and then stay within those boundaries that make them feel safe. Because there's always somebody that's willing to do with you whatever you want to do. It's just, and most of the time, it just isn't who you choose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because most of us don't want what we're asking for.
Yeah.
So therefore, we seek it from who doesn't want to give it to us. And then we can pretend we want it, but it just didn't show up. Truth is, you didn't really want it, or you never would have been looking for it where you couldn't have it. Online, okay. All right, Holy Spirits, let's acknowledge ourselves for hearing this much tonight. Let's give it up to us. Come on now. Those of you online, you know, it's like, we're going to take a breath. I'm going to do a quick recap of the main points that we covered tonight. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. If you'd like to do that, I really appreciate it. Those online, if you'd like to do a financial expression of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher, and you may see some value in what I've just allowed to come through me, please go to my website, earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. And also I'm available for one-on-one sessions, Skype, phone, and in person, depending on where you're located. So if you're ready to dive in and go beyond some blocks, I'll be glad to work with you with that and also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which is just another way for Spirit to communicate through me to you, if you're open to that. And I'm also available for mentoring and coaching to get this quicker, because I've devoted so many years to sharing this, and the purpose of a relationship is to save you time. Every relationship that you get into should be to save you time. To save you time. So thank you all for giving what you'd like to receive if you're in the same situation that I'm in, doing your own thing out there. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you showing your love in many ways. So here we go. So what we want to do right now, online and in person, And share these videos on Facebook. Comment, share, because it extends the reach of the videos. So help me help you. Let's get more mighty companions. Theo, Pamela, Suzanne, I hope your defense against the truth is doing better. Miss you having you in the body right here with us. Pamela, thank you, CJ, for keeping the dialogue going with everybody while I'm doing my thing. You're a great blessing in my life. I appreciate that so much. And all of you are. All of you are. I just feel so blessed to have you all choosing these challenging opportunities to have your soul grow. That just really, I love you. I appreciate that. Because you're the proof I'm changing my mind. Because I called you to myself, and so therefore it means I must truly have a consciousness that wants to wake up and grow. And I'm the witness that you do too. We all are witnesses to each other. So any takeaways before we head out into the lab and I do a quick little recap. Any takeaways, anything anybody here tonight they'd like to take with them?
Yes.
Thank you. I was hoping I had done that pathetic job tonight. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love the part where you said, when you're calling things to yourself, but it's more, it's at a soul level.
Yes.
I like that because it kind of makes me understand it a little deeper.
Me too.
It's at a soul.
It's at a soul level, not a human level, not an ego level. It's at a soul level that I'm calling these situations for my soul's evolution. And to my ego, it may be like, what the hell? Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I like this one really hit me. Overanalyzing is a way to stall applying the truth.
That's right. Over. I wonder why you like that one, Chris. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Kathy says, join the truth. Join in on truth's companionship. Peter.
Well, even though I have a hard time with it, just nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself.
Nothing can occur that I haven't called, but also apply that to the cool stuff.
Right.
Because see, our ego have a tendency to focus that on the things that are happening to me that I don't like.
Right.
And not all the cool stuff that happens to you.
Yeah, I tend to focus on that.
That's right.
Give it a lot more energy.
Me too.
Theo says his takeaway is love can be stronger than fear if you let it.
His takeaway, love can be stronger than fear if you let it. Great. Let's see. Anybody else? Anything else? Recognize, feel, own it. My fear is owning me, so I need to own it.
Christina says death is a change of focus.
Yeah, I love that too. Death is a change of your shift of focus. Yeah, which means we must not be bodies.
If this were different, I'd be happy.
Yeah. But anything, every problem that you see in the world where people are unhappy, and is they're telling themselves, if this outside thing were different, I'd be happy. But the truth is, if I'm different on the inside, I'm going to create a different outside, and I'll be happy. So if I change on the inside, then I'll be happy. And it's going to be mirrored back to me.
Patricia's takeaway is fear is just an opportunity for soul growth.
Fear is just an opportunity for soul growth. Absolutely. Would that make you feel better to feel like that was the case? Yeah. Fear is not my master. I choose to see it as nothingness that it is. I have the courage to walk on. That's great.
I like that you said it blocks the light too.
Yeah. It's the Course in Miracles says that a grievance is like a shield before the sun that's blocking your blessing. It's blocking your miracle. So if I block that light right there, it's still shining, but you notice now my face is in the dark. Mm-hmm. So all of your good is still shining. Your own beliefs are blocking it. And what's the belief that's blocking it? The belief that I'm not the creator of what I'm feeling and what's going on. That's the belief that's blocking it. All right, so we're going to take a couple of minutes to do the recap statement. Remember, if you will accept your function, which is to let go of the blocks to love and truth within you, every obstacle is removed before you reach it. That was the one that really stuck. That if I would practice this, I probably wouldn't know how many blessings I've received because the problem was solved before I even got to it. The obstacle was removed before I even got to it. So you don't know how many obstacles were removed before you got to it today for you to be here tonight. And you may be wondering, well, when something good is going to happen to me? Well, you don't know how many things didn't happen to you today because of your focus on the truth. The fact that you're sitting here is all you need to know. You know. Cool. Okay, here we go. I love this too. He says the Holy Spirit always knows the shortest route to God. So your higher self always knows the shortest route to love. Your higher self always knows the shortest route to love. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Nothing can occur that I haven't called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that has not called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Now, how do you get rid of fear? How do you dissolve your 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 fear? Now listen, by recognizing your fear, by feeling your fear, by owning the fact that fear is not your master. Fear is not my 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 master. And walk on. And walk on. So how do you dissolve the power of fear? By recognizing fear, by recognizing fear, by recognizing fear, recognizing fear, by recognizing fear, by recognizing fear, by recognizing fear, by feeling it. Feel your fear. Feel your fear. Feel your anger. 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 Feel your guilt. Feel your guilt. Feel your guilt. Feel it. Feel it. Recognize it. Feel it. Recognize it. Feel it and own it. It is my fear. It is my fear. It is my anger. It is my anger. I'm feeling my anger. I'm feeling my anger. I'm feeling my fear. I'm feeling my fear. I'm feeling my fear. I'm feeling my fear. I own it. I own it. I'm making myself feel it. I own it. I own it. I own it. That I'm making myself feel it. It is not my master. Guilt is not my master. Guilt is not my master. Guilt is not my master. Lack 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 is not my master. Sickness 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 is not my master. Lack is not my master. Lack is not my master. Lack is not my master. Loneliness is not my master. Loneliness is not my master. Loneliness is not my master. Woo! It's not my master. It's not my master. It's not my master. Nothing can occur. Nothing can occur that I have not called to myself. I call love 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 to myself. I call freedom 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 to myself. I call fun 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 to myself. I call peace 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 to myself. I call joy 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 to myself. I call truth to myself. I call truth to myself. I call truth to myself. I call truth. Here's the scary one. I call God to myself. 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 I call God to myself and breathe. Whoa. Mighty Companion. Spirit Free says, first time joining this group. Yes, I believe we think and speak ultimately and manifest. However, and that's when the thing shifted. And I couldn't see the rest of it.
It's a long thing talking about the history of his ancestors, but I shared for him that the way of mastery can be startling, and we don't have to believe it.
Right. Well, the point is, why listen to something that's always got to agree with the way that you're already seeing it? It doesn't make any sense to tune into a class that everybody has to agree with what you're saying, the way you see it, or me believing that everybody has to agree with the way that I see it. So what I would always invite people to do when they want to focus on what they disagree on is just see what did you hear that could be helpful to you in some way. Because we can always find something to disagree about. So I love you, Spirit Free, and you're my brother, and I call to you whatever it was you shared. And you're welcome to tune in at any point in time. Thank you, Holy Spirits. You all are awesome. You all are juicy. And most of all, you all are sweet. You are the candy bars of God. Woo! You are the candy bars of God.
Led by a chocolate nut.
Led by a chocolate nut. Spiritual bouncers, would you get this young lady? And
I didn't do that.